Welcome to Big Thinking with Zaid. On this episode, we're going to talk to Alex. He's the definition of tinkerer. He fixes cars on the weekend. He has a 9 to 5. He has a side project building an HVAC controller, and he's also building a SaaS for documentation called Updatify. You're going to love this episode. Like, I love people who are like Alex, curious, they learn with their hands. And we also discuss a lot of early startup advice, what to do, what not to do, and how to get your first 100 customers. So this is a fun one. You're gonna love it.
I have a friend who like runs a car repairman shop. He does, like body kind of repairs, like, after accidents and so on. And so I'm basically like free renting a space from him.
Hell
Like
yeah.
I just put a car basically. I'm bringing some pizza, some coke, when I'm
Hmm.
going there.
Hmm.
So I'm just
Nice.
standing there, and he like sometimes just like gives me some advice. It's like, man, no, man, you're doing this totally wrong. You have to do this other
Nice.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that, bro? Like it's so cool. You find like old Porsches or whatever and like restore them.
Well, I actually was never interested in like fixing or like basically doing anything with my hands, but I don't know, probably after 30 or so, I just started to feel like, hey, man, I want to do something with my hand, something
Uh-huh.
physical.
Yeah.
My dad, he does a little bit of woodworking at
Okay.
his place. He has a small workshop as well.
Mhm.
So I was, sometimes just like hanging out with him, just helping him, holding some wooden planks.
Yeah.
Um, and then like someday, one guy told me, hey, like I'm doing this business, like I'm getting cars from US to Europe and just repairing and selling them.
Hmm.
So I just just went to see basically how it looks. Like I
Hmm.
really enjoyed like what he was doing. So at
Hmm.
some point I just said like, hey, why don't I just get one car and just try to repair it, even
Yeah.
if not myself at first. Uh, have you seen those pictures I shared a couple of times? It's BMW i8. It's like doors
Hmm.
open this way.
Yeah.
So that was the first car I actually got for repairman. I didn't do much job on it myself. Like I had
Hmm.
help from my friend who was like, I don't know, probably done 50-60% of work with me.
Yeah.
But like since then I just like started like learned some
Hmm.
stuff, and work on other cars, and here we go.
So did you sell a bunch of cars?
No, actually not a bunch. I sold it BMW. I
Yeah.
had it for like 1 year, and I had Maserati.
Yeah.
I also had it for about like 1 year,
Yeah.
and then I sold it. And actually, as you know, I went to EVs. Like I drive
Mhm.
Porsche Taycan right now,
Mhm.
and in the meantime, repairing the Porsche Panamera as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. But what is the dream? Because just a little background about me. Like, I was a brand strategist for 10 years,
Hmm.
and my whole thesis is the founder identity. So what you are deep inside, when you put it in your business, it has a chance of surviving decades in terms of the brand, right? Like when you look at all these brands, like Ferrari, all of these amazing car brands, they're all based kind of on the founder's vision and the founder's taste and the founder's culture, and they try to extend that. And those are the brands that are the most popular, I think.
Well,
Uh,
I can say like I have some specific goal. Like it's rather just a set of goals. Basically, I like my hobbies. Like it's not just cars. I'm also doing some hardware development as well.
mhm,
I even had some nine to five projects in the past with hardware only. So I really like to I think I just have this mindset of like engineer, and like I'm not saying like a programmer, but more like a person who can make pretty much anything. Like you need some some tool, some physical to have. Hey, I think I can do it for you.
but it's not about goal, it's about desires. It's more, what would you love to do? Not what are you pursuing right now, but like if you had all the resources, right,
Yeah,
in
of
the
course.
world, like what would you pursue? Would you like make your own cars,
Uh,
or would
yeah,
you?
yeah, I see what you mean. I don't think I would want to make a cars, but I'd rather like want to work more on like um hardware products. And by hardware products, I think about some big tools like like production lines, basically, where like my team, my company would be in charge of like making everything from scratch, like from starting from like making requirements and up to like final release, like software, hardware parts, and like how it all connects together. This is what I was already doing in past. I was like a very minor role in the project, but that was super interesting for me
Like in
because
your 9 to 5, like you set up factories basically.
yes, I wasn't like setting up factories. It was more like just a small production line for one of the companies. They had hardware engineers, and I was there for just like software support. My
Okay.
role was basically to build them like a web dashboard for like they had a bunch of sensors, and they
Yeah.
were all reporting to like API endpoint, and I was basically building them this. But because I was working on that, I had access to all the hardware. I even
Mhm.
visited this factory. It was actually in Europe, so it was like a I don't know 6 hours flight for me. Uh, that was 2019, I think, or 2018. That was before the COVID era, basically. So I went there. I worked there for like 2 weeks probably because
Mhm.
I like needed to have physical access to all the stuff. We made a
Mhm.
bunch of changes to like hardware sensors and how they were like
Amazing.
communicating with like the main system with like web API basically. And I really enjoyed and I liked what we were doing. And my goal probably would be if I would have like unlimited money or like some big amount, I would probably start uh, a hardware company just to work in this kind of projects.
Hardware or software? Because I see like for you to extend that, like is there a way to do it as a company that's dedicated to building interconnected systems for production lines? Like
Well,
like
it's it's
consulting on the hardware and then building the software?
it's not working like that. When you I mean, you can be basically either like an assembly type of company when you just pick up, a bunch of like sensors, a bunch of modules,
Mhm.
controllers, and so on, and just like slap them all together. In this case, they're like it's more like a software kind of job than hardware because you
Mhm.
already have SDKs for all the sensors or for like all
Mhm.
the modules and so on. It's still interesting, but I would, actually really want to work on like my own full set of like so sort of like lock the whole production cycle inside my company.
Interesting. And within in what industry are you interested in doing that?
I mean, the production lines, they can be any industry. Like it can be automotive industry. It can be some agricultural industry, for example. They surely have like different needs, but the basics, like the way you make all this like production lines, they are very well, not very, but they're similar to each other basically. It's just like automotive production lines, you have like more this robot arms, we just like put
Mhm.
some stuff together. In agricultural, you have like more lines that just like rolls all your like produce from point A to point B, doing some actions with them. There's actually a good video on YouTube. I think it's from Veritasium channel, like
Mhm.
how do the Pringles actually getting produced. And
Mhm.
that's really interesting watch because they showed all their production lines from from the moment they have
Okay, cool.
all the potatoes unloaded from truck, and up to the
Mhm.
moment they just put them, back together in these boxes of chips.
The beauty of the world is you get what you want. But if you don't know what you want, you get nothing.
That's right.
You you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like um it's easier to get to start with a crystal clear goal of building sensors, robotic arms, software, blah, 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 for the automotive industry, get success and then expand into agriculture, or the other way around, or like just having a specific crystal target and pursuing that is gonna unlock more for you than saying I would love to do any of these 10 things.
Well, man, the problem is like it's really hard to get into this industry, like, from scratch as like, a new entity, new company. Because in automotive, you have a lot of like rules, regulations, and all kind of stuff. So unless you already establish a company or you have a very nice, a very big budget to build something to do all this like get all these permissions and like permits to do whatever you want to do, that's why it can work. Otherwise, I don't think it's actually possible to like get and start something from scratch, unless like a kid of rich parents, basically.
But I don't think so, because you tinker. Like let's say, I don't know, there's like 10 sensors in a certain production line, like, that work together. I'm not very familiar. I'm just
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
spitballing, right? But like a system of sensors, or like that's modular in every industry. If you just spend your tinkering time building that system and linking it all together and creating software for it, you can pitch it. Like, you can license it to these bigger companies, right?
Yeah, that's right. It might work, but once again, like even making it like just like a single part of like single module, what you say,
Mm.
it's it can take years. It's not something like you can make like as like just launch a React JS application, for example. It can
Mhm.
take literally years, and that's why why I'm doing my 9 to 5, why I'm trying to like work on this Updatify tool, because I want to have like some income, or like even even some savings which I could work off to actually start like working on some hardware project.
But you are working on hardware projects right now. They're cars, right?
Yes, but it's I mean this this like, as you said, like this modular piece which I could pitch to like automotive
Mhm.
or any other companies, basically.
I think that this idea is kind of at its infant stages, but I want to encourage you to think about not thinking about the entire journey. Like, oh my God, like, to get this into production, or to get this into commercial use, is gonna take so many years. Instead, I would encourage you to just build it out of curiosity. Like, can I create a system, like a system that I can pitch at some point? I don't know when. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 10 years, but can I just build the system on my free time and show it to somebody that might be interested in like putting it in their factory? Just building that, I think, will activate a lot more imagination on how to make this happen. Like, just
Well,
committing to bringing it.
that's what I'm actually doing right now. Like, I'm not doing this for any money, because it's not obviously bringing me any money. I'm doing
Mm,
this purely out of curiosity, for experience, because once again, like, hardware is totally different from
mhm.
software. I don't know if you saw or not, like I posted a few months ago, I am in progress of doing small project, which is basically like a controller for my ventilation system in my apartment.
I saw that. It was the refresh rate. We had a discussion about it, right?
Yeah, actually,
Little refresh.
I solved the problem like a couple of months
Mhm.
later. I actually posted
Uh,
another video
I
where
remember. Yeah, I
I
remember.
solved all this problem, like, and right now I'm actually waiting for a third revision of PCB I made. This is like a custom PCB, because the one that's current controller just doesn't work with like all the setup I want. So I learned this PCB, PCB construction, basically. Well, not learned, but at least started to learn. Once again, as you said, like, I need to do something, like, to get experience and so on. So I thought, why not? And right now I'm just waiting for third revision of this PCB, and I hope this should be the last one, and I'll get my controller installed, and I'll like get it to work, basically.
But that's
So
amazing. But this is the next step. Like, what's his name? Jack Butcher. He's one of my favorite influencers or whatever.
yeah,
But he posted, like, it's easy to get from 0 to 0.9, and very hard to get from 0.9 to 1, right?
true.
And this is kind of what I'm seeing right here, is you're building everything, but then you're not. I don't know if you're not. Maybe you are, but uh, you're not thinking about, like, this is a controller for what kind of ventilation system, like your HVAC in the house.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, have you thought about, after it's done, going and talking to some HVAC companies and to,
I actually spoke with the producer of this HVAC system who does it
Mhm.
for me. And I spoke with them, I know, probably like a year ago. I just wanted to know, to consult with them, like, how can I do something before
Mhm.
I actually started. And I said, like, hey, if I will make a controller, do you want like to see what I've made? Maybe you can, like, reuse in your work. They said, yeah, sure, of course. Just once you're done, just like give us a call,
Mhm.
and like you can discuss. So I definitely will give him a call once
Oh
it's
yeah.
done.
Okay. So you are
So
thinking about those. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
of course.
Amazing. Yeah. I love it. Do you want to explore that for the workshop, or because like I said, the target is important. I like this a lot. I like Updatify too, but that is a competitive space, and I don't know, like, are you passionate about documentation?
Well, mostly I'm passionate about reading the good documentation. Uh, if we move to speak about Updatify, if you remember, there was like one of my posts on Banger, like Level you and a few other guys reposted, like got bunch of
Mhm,
feedbacks. So what made me think to that like back then is I had to like pivot because my original idea just didn't work. Like
mhm,
nobody would really pay $12 for just widget inside your application. I mean,
mhm,
some probably would because even before that post, I've got a few customers who are still my customers, still paying. But what I understood back then is like my idea just not forced all the money. So I pivoted a little bit, and instead of like having just one widget, right now I'm providing a bunch of different ways to share updates. Like you can share LinkedIn, you can share
mhm,
to Twitter, you can share to Zendesk,
mhm,
knowledge base. I'm working on a few more ways to share. I still have the widget, I still have the like separate blog page.
mhm,
I also work on a way to import your release notes. So right now I'm supporting GitHub, working on GitLab and
mhm,
Linear project management system. I also added some AI capabilities, so you can like import your few of your GitHub releases,
mhm.
couple of pull requests, and have AI basically to like craft some release notes out of your like some sort of like a pieces of text which would be hard to connect if you would just put
I
them
love it.
together. My biggest problem with Updatify right now is that I don't really know how to promote it further.
All
Like
right.
I've
So
got
let's.
this initial set of customers.
Mhm,
I like did a lot of Reddit posts, like Twitter posts, like you feel more like cold DMs, cold emails, and so on. So I have about 20 paid active customers right now. But from here, like I'm kind of stuck because I have no idea like where would I go next from like current point.
Okay, so out of those channels, which got you the customers? The DMs, the Reddit?
The final stuff, it's Reddit, but it's not like posts or something. It's comments basically under. It wasn't even like this like indie hacking or like other self promoting subreddits.
Yeah.
It was mostly just the comments in some random subreddits. Like for example, there was a guy
Mhm,
in some, if I remember correctly, that was some automotive related subreddit, and there was some discussion about software which
mhm,
was like updated for a while. And somehow I managed to actually mention Updatify that like this is the tool that like I would use,
mhm,
for like sharing updates. And some guy from Italy actually emailed me and said, "Hey, like I like this tool. Like, can you help me get started?" And so on. We had a couple of back and forth
yeah,
messages. He started his like using it up to today basically, and I mean he has no complaints. He just used this widget. That's
amazing.
that's that's basically the everything they needed because they needed this tool for internal usage, not
Mhm,
for a publicly faced. And like I'm seeing like every week they have this new release made, and like they share this notes because like we have some analytics, like a couple like amount of views
mhm,
on widget and posts. I see that his team basically like everybody of them watches us, and also like he has his team as a subscribers to emails.
mhm.
So they also receive like this release notes as email to them. And I mean it just works, but it's hard to replicate because that was an accident when I just found these guys basically in like some third party Reddit.
It's not. That is the what you just described is. I just wrote a post yesterday about building public and the trap of building public. And building public, the worst part of it is full of bad advice, and a lot of it is from this viral post bullshit that gets no customers. Everybody thinks that's what it takes to get customers, but what really gets customers is what you just described. You have to do that 100 more times, 1,000 more times.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
problem.
that's what your focus has to be on when it comes to content and your time marketing. It should be, who needs this? How can I build a relationship with them? So one part is finding them, like you did on Reddit. You stumbled on that, but you can find a system that surfaces these people more efficiently. And the second part is talking to them normally, like you just did with the Italian guy. Hey, what would be great? This. Oh, amazing. I'm happy to onboard you. Da, 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 da. And you systemize that process, and that's what you do in the beginning, right?
That's what I try to do actually. Like this
Mm,
customer, he joined. I know. I think it's December or even November 2025. So it's been a few months already. The
amazing.
problem is, man, like I tried to do the same, like the same steps. I went like whether I saw it would be, it would be, or like it would have a reason to mention my product. I would actually do it because I didn't want to sound like some spammy bot.
Salesy, yeah. But it's not about sales. It's about curiosity. So you don't open with, "Hey, you know what will solve your product? It's Updatify." It's you find someone who has a problem with documentation, and then you go in with a question. Like, "Hey, what do you use? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Have you tried something else? What worked about that? What didn't work about that?" And you have this relationship of curiosity, right? In their answers, your thing might not be a good fit. Thanks. If you need anything, let me know. Here's my, and you just build a relationship.
Yeah, right. I I understand what you're saying, and like it indeed makes sense. The problem with like my specific product is like this is kind of niche tool, and not many people speak about this kind of like this kind of documentation or like this kind of questions overall. Like a lot of people, even on Twitter, which I knew, like, and I spoke with them, like I offered them like free forever plan if they could use for a testimonial basically. For many of them, like this isn't a problem because once again their products are small and like nobody really cares about whether they release updates or not because like they have just one single feature which works and like nobody cares like if
Mhm.
they have like another features of do they
Absolutely.
update features, you know and so what they do is just basically they just put together like some like web page like slash release notes basically just pull it from I don't know from GitHub releases for example and call it a day basically. So it's hard to find this like
But it's not hard to find. You're right. You're in the right track. It's the targeting is the problem. You're saying, hey, the people that I'm open with or are interested in talking to me are beginners and or small companies that don't have the need to document and inform everybody of their release, right? But
yeah.
there are sizes of companies, that are in charge of documentation, and maybe there are roles within companies that are in charge of documentation, right? And
Yes, maybe, yeah.
so if you find that role or you find that maybe a founder of a certain size, you just reach out and say, hey, I would just love to understand how you document. That's it. What do you use for document? Oh, we use Mentify. What do you love about Mentify? Blah, 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 blah. Amazing. Are you willing to switch? No, I'm not willing to switch. What would make you switch? Well, I would switch if I had this, and that.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your time. You go build this, and that. You build Mentify feature parity plus the things, and then you
Mhm.
go back to them. Hey, by the way, I built the thing. Can I show it to you? You go on a demo, you show it to them. And then when you show it to them, it's gonna click if it's awesome. It's gonna click. It's gonna be like, oh, amazing. Where do I sign up? And you didn't have to say buy my product once in that entire process.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's really interesting approach. What actually concerns me is like I spoke with few folks and like everybody of them requested a feature, but these features were completely different from each other. So if I would be like, implementing them each one by one, it would take a lot of time. Even like with AIs, like
Mhm.
still have to spend time and so on. It's I'm just not sure like whether or like how do I find out or like how do I understand like this specific person, for example, like you would like switch if I would implement this, and this.
What you're discussing here is the founder's taste, right? Like you as a founder, you have a decision to make. You have to prioritize. You have to say,
Yeah.
this guy is requesting this bullshit. It doesn't, or I can solve this problem differently, and more simply and more beautifully. And that is kind of where the founder's genius comes in, right? Is you listen to the customer feedback, as much customer feedback as you can gather, and then you squeeze it into a beautiful feature, right?
With customers, with like existing or like the people who are already your customers, it's easy, of course, because like I mean, first of all, they are paying you money, so at least you know that they need this feature because they already using this tool, right?
Yes.
And so as you said, like yes, like I'm like once I've got like some feature requests, for example, some feedbacks, whatever, I can sit down, like compile all the stuff, probably just come up with something that like would satisfy, if not
Mhm.
all, but the most of customers.
100%. Yeah.
But if you speak about the people who aren't my customers yet and who said like, I actually had even like a case like this. I was speaking on with one guy on Twitter, and he said like, hey, can you like implement me this feature? It wasn't actually very hard. It was like a more of UI change to widget basically. And so he said like, hey, can you do it? And I probably just become your customer. Well, you know what? He didn't become my customer.
Yeah, that is not the point. The point is not to become a builder for your customer, right? Like you still have to have the founder authority, where
Yeah,
it's like you
yeah,
prioritize and choose and build something that you're satisfied with, not just, oh, the customer requested something, right? And
yeah.
then 100% the best feedback is money. And hey, what did you pay for exactly? And why didn't you pay somebody else? Well, I paid you, and now you have a conversation about what exactly people are paying for, and then you just make that stronger and build that, because that is the gap in the market that you're not seeing. In the beginning, you just build something, you show it to people, they buy it. Now you get actual good feedback, right? Not people are like, hey, you know what would be great if you did this and that. They're just doing backseat product manager, right?
Yeah.
So that's not something you want to pay attention to. What you want to pay attention to is why they use their current thing, what would make them switch, and then what the actual paying customers are paying for, and how they're using your product, and what shortcuts or jerry rigging they're doing. Like, oh, I use it, but I also use Notion to do the blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
Mhm.
hey, how can I make this so that they don't leave, just stay on the product, right? And then you increase retention, right?
Well, like listening, you actually made me think, and so I actually can, just probably cheat a little bit or like do a shortcut. Like I know my competitors already. Like I know who are their clients because I mean they explicitly state like this company uses like us, this like that company uses. So what I can do is actually probably just like do a simple stuff, is just send cold DMs to these companies who do this competitors,
Yeah.
and like just
Asking.
ask why are you using this and like what are you missing, like what feature, what like
Mhm,
probably you problem you have this
mhm.
competitor, and
Yeah.
start from there. That's probably would be the simplest way to do it.
Yeah, and the golden ticket is to say, can can I get on a call and you show me how you use it? Because what they say, they're gonna say, "Oh, I like it. It's not bad," or what. It's not helpful. But when you say, "Can I get on the thing and just watch you use it?" Now you can see them go and move, and then you can be like, hey, why'd you do this? Well,
Mhm.
they don't have blah blah blah, blah, so I have to insight. Like, it's watching them use it is the ultimate way of getting information.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really brilliant idea, man. I didn't think, from this perspective, of like seeing, not asking.
Yeah, it's the best. It's like I call it the reverse demo, where it's like it's not you showing, it's them
Hmm.
showing you. And it's so important, even on your products, like even your customers, asking your customers, hey, do you mind if I just uh watch you use the product and you show me your workflow? Well, I do this, that. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
it.
that indeed makes sense. Yeah, like I didn't think from this perspective. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. All right, then let's go into the workshop. Who are you serving when you think about Updatify?
I am serving a customers of my customers, basically. So
Interesting.
the
Explain.
intention, if we speak, in a little bit like marketing bullshit. So my intention is like to provide a like health, or it's more like product health updates, because what I think is like the regular releases are a sign, sort of a sign of good health on a project. Like what I meant by good health is this product evolves. It like, the people are working on it, like here, like here building some stuff, building some features. It's not abandoned product, because the problem with abandoned products is like eventually they just like shut down it completely, and you lost
Mm.
all your data or whatever you had with that. So this is a sign. And my original goal was to let my customers, to show to their customers that they alive, because they do updates, they do new feature releases, bug fixes, and so on. So yeah, this is how it sounds in marketing bullshit, basically.
I love the marketing bullshit. you know, show your customers that you're alive, but this is more about. So you're saying you have two customers basically, like you're serving two separate targets. First, it's the company that uses the thing. You're giving them the utility of
Create.
documentation,
Yes.
and then the second is the their recipients of these updates,
Yes.
which is the confidence that, hey, this is an evolving company.
Uh, Both that this is a evolving company, and actually providing, like this, like documentation about releases, basically. So
Okay.
some sort of, I mean, like this alive message is not direct; it's indirect message that customers receive. Direct messages are the documentation that they release notes, basically, for the product. So there are like two different key points which my product sells. But once again, it's hard to justify and hard to explain to many people, to both my direct customers and indirect customers, what is the goal for this. Many people
What's
are.
hard to explain? You need documentation, and your customer needs to know you're alive. Like,
Uh,
what is the hard
that
part?
customers wants to know if you're live or not, if your product is evolving or like being underdeveloped.
Yeah, but what's hard about that? You can just say you can find
No,
statistics,
it's not about, it's not hard. It's just, many people just don't really care, because they are
but you
like,
can make them care. You can make them care with statistics. You can say, hey, 80% of companies that don't document their product releases end up being abandoned and shutting down in 2 years. And the people who do document, you know, survive 3 years. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be? Do you want to shut down in 3 years, or do you want to live in 3 years? It's an easy pitch. You just have to find that statistic.
that's probably going to be the hard part of this task.
You can send Claude to do the research. Just ask Claude to go find you some statistics, and dig deeper and deeper and deeper until you find it. It's gonna be easy.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Actually, I'm gonna write it down right now.
Yeah, but there's credibility comes like credibility is one of the main pillars of a pitch, right?
Yeah.
Why is this true, or why is what you're saying true? And you just have to go find it. Hey, you can do it anecdotally, right? Hey, my customers have survived, if you have that data, right? My customers that started with me have survived the 5-year mark, right?
Yeah.
You can use the size and prestige of the customer as credibility. Hey,
Hmm.
look, Vercel uses my product. Do you want to be like Vercel? Or you can actually go find actual data statistics. Like, hey, there was this study that's been done, 1,000 companies, like that is undeniable, right?
Does it really work like when you come like, for example, you just come in, I know, like to Versal and say like, hey, can- will you use my tool because like I know like some other companies uses my tool and like do you want to be like them? Does it really work, in terms of like, uh, in terms of mentality for this company owners or the decision owners
Yeah,
about?
it works. Credibility works. And especially at that level, there is a language that's being spoken, right? When you have serviced companies at that level, as you know, with your 9 to 5, there's compliance issues that big companies worry about. There's adoption. There's all of these risks that they consider. And if you have a great way of addressing all of these risks, and then stacking on top of that credibility, stacking on top of that science, yeah, you can win these customers no problem. Because they just want an easy solution. They want a solution that makes them more money, that is not risky. They're not going to be at risk with their compliance stuff, with their customers, with their data, and all of that. And if you have all those boxes checked, yeah, that's how you win these big clients.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always thought like it's going to be hard, for me to even speak with these people because like they usually watch you, from like this perspective. Hey, like I have this big product, and you're like pretty much nobody. Uh, why are you even here?
I've solved the problem you have. That's the part that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge, is that
Yeah,
it's not just because you built a product people are going to buy it. You actually have to solve a problem. You have to solve not just a problem, because there's problems people live with, right? There's
yeah,
tons of problems that people live with because the alternative is harder. So it has to be a painful problem that they want to get out of, right?
yeah,
So if you find that, and you're not gonna find that by guessing. That's the other thing, is you find that by doing what I told you, talking to customers, getting them on calls, seeing the thing, and seeing the seeing the pain, and then alleviating the pain, and now you find something. And once you find that, right, you find that message that is the product market fit message, where it's like you can go to someone cold and say, "Hey, you know this problem that you have? Oh my God, how did you know I have this problem?" Well, I've talked to 1,000 people and they all seem to have this problem. I fixed that problem. Amazing. Where can I buy? Once you find that, you can just pour ad money on that. You can now just take out an ad, target those roles, pour all your money on the ads, and then scale the company, right? But you're
yeah.
not gonna find that by guessing.
That's right. Yeah, I agree here with you. So, here's another question. Like, how would you understand like that this isn't a problem? Like this, concept of like pill and like vitamin, basically,
Mhm.
vitamin. So a lot of people saying like this isn't pill, this is a vitamin. So I don't really like need or like have a need to use. It's like a good to have, but not like required me to have. So how would you understand that specific product is a vitamin and like it doesn't like have big opportunities to actually grow up?
Well, it leads to the second question, which is, how did you start? Why did you build it?
Well, that's uh pretty simple. Like I have desktop and mobile application which I open sourced a few years ago. It's basically a music player. I shared it a few months ago
Mhm.
on Twitter as well. So I am doing some development there. Like it's not exactly like once a month probably some release, but I just wanted like to let my users to know that I am making something for them and like what exactly I'm making basically. So that was the original intention.
But why didn't you use the available software? Why did you have to build it?
First of all, because I don't know, I don't know exact number right now. I know, but probably like 4 or 5 thousand people actually using the application. That's a niche group in open source and like self-hosted community. But
Mm,
the people use because it's like same application on web and sorry, on desktop and mobile platforms. So
mm,
they just use. And what I was looking back then, like the pricing was pretty expensive if I would be using for like 5,000 people, because emails costs money, and so on.
mm,
And plus, I didn't really want to invest my money into something that I'm not getting money for. It's
mm.
like I actually received five bucks and buy me a coffee from one guy now
Yeah,
for his player basically. So that was original intention.
it was pricing.
Yeah, mostly yes.
Okay, so you did that for like internal use, right? Because it was a pricing problem.
Uh, I
At what?
started I started to build it for internal use, but eventually I like once I've got into problematics of this specific like area of or like whatever it calls, I saw like many apps don't have it, and I thought like, hey, I can actually try to offer this tool to them as well.
What many apps didn't have?
Many apps did it and don't have this release notes, in any way. I just started to like notice more and more the tools I was using, they don't have release notes. I don't know what exactly happens. And then like I'm using some tools, for example, my editor, code editor, which has release notes. Like every time like they update, I read it because I like to see like what's new, like what's added and all the
Mm,
kind of stuff. So that's intention why I decided to make it as a product, not just as like a widget inside the existing code base.
mhm. At what point do you start looking at your competition?
You mean the competitors who offer the same tools?
Yeah, the Updatify's competitor.
Uh, well, I started to look right away because I basically knew who are my competitors because I did a research even before I started to build this tool.
Mhm,
Because I checked the price and stuff, and all that kind
mm,
of things. So I knew who are my competitors. I knew what features they offer because once again I had this a spreadsheet with like
mhm.
core like main features with each competitor, their like pricing and so on. So I started to compare myself to them immediately.
Yeah. So this was when? When did you start?
I started to build this like early 2025, I think. It was more than a year ago, basically.
Mhm.
But once
Yeah,
again, like, it was very inactive development. I was, busy.
yeah, and so other than price, what is the differentiating aspect?
Uh, the differentiating, the problem with them is like they do not offer some common set of features. They offer like basically they like have very small amount of feature that intersects between between the different competitors basically. So for example, one of them doesn't have like a GitHub integration, so I cannot pull like my data from pull requests or like from GitHub releases. The other one doesn't have email notifications. They only have and like provide this in app widget. None of them actually have like mobile
Mm,
widgets. I'm using a Flutter on mobile application, so I made a package for that to show like this updates from Updatify inside the mobile application. None of them would actually have, so I would have to come up with my own solution, even if I would be using that. It's
amazing.
not hard, just drop a web view, but whatever.
Yeah, it's like a complete solution. It's a more complete solution than what's available right now. It has
I,
email.
I am attempting to like I'm still missing on some core features which I would want to have after it's like pivot into more like more generalized solution. But yeah, you're right, I am working on more complete solution.
Yeah, and to answer your question about vitamin and painkiller,
Yeah,
um, competition is the answer. If there's competitors out there and it's a big market, it means there's a pain. There's an actual market need for this. If you're like, hey, you know what would be great, and you have this crazy idea about, I don't know, making pictures out of some crazy prompts,
yeah,
that would
yeah.
be awesome. And it's like, what is the market for that? How much money is being spent on that? and it's like not much. Then it's vitamin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
So
on the other hand, as experience shows, and like some folks on Twitter, like they can even sell you a shit wrapped in a like fancy paper, and people still
yeah,
would be buying it.
yeah, but that is the stories you hear about that go viral.
Yeah,
That is the reason why they're going viral. It's because who would have thought people are gonna pay money for this piece of shit?
yeah,
It's not that, hey, you know what you should do? Go build a piece of shit. Like that, that is not the point.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's money in the market. That's the difference. The more money in the market, the more this is a real pain. Like
Yeah.
the music industry, people are bored out of their fucking mind, right? They want music. They want to fill the void of silence, with things blasting in
Yeah.
their ear. Like that is a real need, a real pain.
In-
Classical music, it's maybe not, because to appreciate classical music nowadays, it's it takes a lot of sophistication. You gotta like, have so much history. You gotta know about the story and whatever. It doesn't. That's why there is money, but it's like a luxury product at this point. It's not a mass
you
need.
need to have a specific mindset for this kind of music.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas, you know, music about making money or music about, sex or music about these kind of stupid things,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
are missing in people's lives and they're like, oh, yeah. But yeah, market size is the answer to that question. Um
Honestly speaking, I don't think like the market size for like this kind of release management tools are big, but it's definitely existing and like people ready to pay the money.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I probably will not be making the same as like Level CEO, with photo AI product, but I still, first of all, this is my like a first real experience of like me building my own product. It was
And
usually
the photo AI, by the way, is genius by what's his name?
Level CEO.
Levels. It's
Yeah,
genius because he found the market and positioned it in that market. He said, fire your photographer. So it's no longer a fun app to create stupid photos. It's you pay money for a professional photographer to put your headshots on LinkedIn or whatever.
yeah.
Instead of paying that money for their pay money for photo AI. That is just a genius positioning that unlocked that market.
True. Plus, I think he was one of the first who actually leveraged, like the AI models for like making of photos, basically.
100%. But what I'm saying is, let's say you look at that product and you say, I want to compete, because that's what I just told you. If
Mhm.
there's money in the market, there's room for competition, and you just
Of
go and
course.
compete, right? If you want to compete with photo AI, competing on, hey, let's make your photo fun and AI, there's no market there. It's a small market, or maybe there's a market now. I don't know, but competing with him is saying fire your photographer or a take on that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
competing in the photography industry, not in professional photography, not in uh fun social media photos.
It's just probably that like nobody would actually be paying for making a funny photo. Like, what's
That's
the
what I'm
point?
saying. Exactly. That's so he's so smart. Levels.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a really nice example of like what can you actually achieve if you're both lucky and like you also like hardworking person, and you kind of like know what you're doing. Like, how do you promote your products, basically?
It's not luck. It is not luck. It is a lot of see, business is a hypothesis type of discipline.
Maybe.
You don't know what the market needs until you test it in an experiment,
Of
right?
course, yeah. What I'm saying is more like about virality of your like product or whatever like service you offer. Like, I know
But
Like
he
I
spent 10 years building the indie hacker, whatever.
yeah,
No,
that
not the digital nomad community,
yeah, right.
right? So he spent 10 years building a distribution platform of community members that all related to him. Like that is not lucky virality. That's he built relationships with thousands of people that can amplify his message.
Uh, yes, I agree what you're saying, but uh, what I'm just saying, like for example, there's another guy. I don't want like to say his name, but that doesn't
Mhm.
actually matter. So the guy actually, as you probably saw, it's been a pretty popular, uh, trend recently. Like they quit their 9 to 5 and then just and like pack their stuff and just move to Asia or like Bali, wherever. And so one of the guys actually packed his stuff, went somewhere, started to work on some product, and I mean, the product is shitty. Like, a lot of like there are, I don't know, I know at least dozen of the same, like literal the same products, and yet somehow he managed like to get this virality because like his posts were like reposted by the same level. So you and a few other big accounts. He was reposted a couple of times here and there, and eventually he actually made it. Made it. Like he's pretty successful. He has pretty nice income right now, and still like builds, and continues to
Yeah,
improve it.
but that is leveraging charisma. That is leveraging hype. Like the test is once that hype dies down, are the customers gonna stick? Because retention is how you build a long lasting business, not hype. You can grow on hype. There's a lot of companies that grow on hype, they get VC money and dump it all in ads. Like
Yeah,
Cluely, for example, like Cluely always viral and they raise money, it's the future, it's whatever. And they always come with these crazy marketing things, but I don't know anybody using Cluely. And even if I did, are they going to use Cluely in 5 years? Probably not. It's a matter of retention. Like business is marketing and retention. You can spend all your time marketing, but that just means you're gonna grow and get whatever. You have
yeah.
eh, you some people are just loyal based on hype. Like they're not using the product, they're just paying the $10 a month.
Uh, I think many actually do that. No, well, just because of the hype, but yet, because like he keeps on this like hype wave, he even though he like doesn't do like a good retention. I don't know his numbers actually. I don't
Mhm.
even know if he has a problem with retention or like the customers are like loyal and staying with him. I have no idea. But what I'm seeing is like because he continues the hype way, he like ride it, basically he keeps on getting new customers, even though like there are like literally like, dozens of literally the same products everywhere. But just because as I said, charisma, hype,
Mhm.
popularity, like virality, he uses like leverages this strategy to actually grow.
I'm just telling you that it looks glamorous, but there is a much easier way to grow a business.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? That is much easier to just build a good product, talk to customers. You know what I mean? Like build a good product, talk to a lot of customers. Once you get product market fit, spend money on ads. Like it's you don't have to spend this huge amount of energy trying to be this charismatic hype man who posts every day, does a talking head video, takes thumbnails with his mouth open.
Yeah,
Like you don't have to be this idiot to grow a company. You can just reach out to customers who look like good fits, find out about their needs, find out about their how they use the products they like, what they don't like, and try to compete like a normal company. And once you get to a point where all your customers love your product, they're evangelical about it, and you know exactly what they love about it, you can just pour money on ads and just learn the ad game, right? And you can hire people who know how to do these stupid videos. Like you don't have to be the dude. The whole point of this is another building public just lunacy is that they don't want to spend money on ads for no reason. There's no good reason not to spend money on converting ads.
I think the only reason is if you don't have money to spend.
No, there's people that are making, six figures, seven figures that are proud they never spent money on advertising. And it's like you could have been eight figures, nine figures. You know what I mean? Like you're just wasting your potential by taking this stupid position. There's no reason to take that position. Because if you have the product velocity, like you're talking about, like if you have a team that can push features every month based on feedback, or every week based on feedback, uh, why not grow? You can handle the extra load. You can handle the scale. And the lifetime value, if you're building a good product, is very high.
Yeah,
So you can spend the money. Like you have enough data if you've been doing this process. I'm telling you, like the reverse demo and the demos and all of that, and talk to customers. You
yeah,
have now 2-3 years of data, knowing that okay, if a customer likes the product, he's staying for at least 3 years. And if my product is $20, right, that's $600. So I can spend up to $600 to acquire a customer.
yes, yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah,
it,
totally makes sense. Like when you speak from perspective like of already working product that like has like has this a pipeline of acquiring new customer, definitely makes sense. And that's actually what I like would want to do as well at some point. It's
yeah,
just right now that I just don't know what is like the perfect customer basically for me. So
yeah,
I
and
cannot.
you have to go find out. That's it. You have to just go have a lot of conversations and find out exactly who they are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Man, you've actually gave me a lot of nice ideas. What at least to think, what to do, and like how to do it basically. And like even some steps I can do even tomorrow.
I love it. Bro. So you've always had hobbies? Like, were you always like a hobby guy?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, like, what was you remember like the first side project you ever had? Because you told me about like the music player thing. Like,
Yeah. Well, the music player, it started like a few years ago. Before that, I actually worked on like a Go language web framework.
uh,
I wanted to learn basically how the web frameworks are built.
yeah,
So I just like thought like why not to build something like myself.
yeah. Would you give yourself like because it's so fascinating and beautiful because it shows that you've always just been super curious about things, and the way you learn is by getting down and dirty, like
Yeah,
building.
I have this habit of like being like super curious, like
Uh,
curious everywhere, every time. Like whether I see something interesting, I'm just going straight and asking like, hey, like how does it work? Like, hey, why you like did this way or that way? Actually, this way I met so many nice people. Like by
uh,
nice, I mean like like really smart people, not just
mhm,
some fancy ideas, but like really builders.
mhm,
Uh, Even like in this hobby is like fixing cars.
mhm,
I met a lot of people from all the Europe who are like interested in like building cars, fixing cars.
mhm.
I met them on this good old
Amazing.
fashioned forums.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so it was really nice conversation. Really smart people. I learned a lot, from forums. I
yeah.
share my knowledge on Facebook groups. I share my knowledge on forums as well. And this is also like sort of like I'm getting pleasure from sharing the knowledge.
It's great. Yeah, no, it shows it's such a beautiful lifestyle. Like, I wish like what kind of advice would you give someone today who's like, like addicted to the phone, they know they have something to offer the world or whatever. Like, well, how would you like, kick them into this lifestyle? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, and it's very simple actually. You got to be curious. Like you got to be curious about everything that happens around you every day. Like you see in this like nice coffee machine. and like you see in this barista making you some coffee. By the way,
Yeah.
have you seen those coffee with cats on a coffee?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so good.
Like I came by this barista and asked like, hey,
Uh,
how you do it? And like
uh,
she just showed me like, hey, this is really simple. Like she just pours
uh,
some milk, she uses some like
uh,
long sticks, and
yeah.
she's like basically painting with the sticks and coffee. Now this
Uh-huh.
was like a simple curiosity. I came by,
Mm,
I asked, I got answers, and now I know it. So some other day or
mm,
like today, I share this
mm,
with you, and
mm,
you really like got surprised like how easy it's done. So maybe
mhm,
tomorrow you'll decide like, hey, I want like to learn how to make this,
mm.
pictures on a coffee basically. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. Yeah, so whatever you're curious about, just dig deeper, find out how it's done, basically.
Yeah, and especially like right now with AI, with LLMs, you can just literally go and ask like how it's done, and 95% cases you'll get correct answer, and it's going to be short, so you can understand
Mm-hmm.
whether you want to like dig deeper inside
Mm-hmm.
some process, or you just want to abandon it because it's either really hard, or you're like not going to be interested.
Yeah, I love it. And is there anything more you want to discuss?
Um, well, I actually don't think I have to discuss. Maybe you have some questions because I had my questions about this
Mm-hmm.
promotion stuff, and you cleared some questions for me pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a food for brain, to reflect this
Yeah.
evening basically.
My question is if this is a serious opportunity, right? Why only spend 10 hours on it? Like why do you do the car thing? Like
Uh, well, I do the question because I know what is burning out. I've been burned out, I think, 2 times in the past,
yeah.
and it took me literally years to actually go back to like regular pace of work.
Mm.
And staying at garage helps me to prevent this burning out.
Mm. 'Cause there's like
Some
camaraderie, your friends there and you're working and
Yes,
yeah.
I'm completely changing what I'm doing. Like, when I'm at home, I'm sitting on my chair 9 to 5, or
Mm.
usually it's 9 to 9, basically.
Mhm.
I'm sitting on my chair writing code and just staring at the laptop. I'm using my brain. I don't use any like muscles, and basically no physical work.
Mm.
This is completely different. I don't have to use brain in garage, but I have
Mm.
to use physical strength to like do this, like screw the bolts and all the stuff.
Mhm.
And for me, this really works.
I love
Like,
that.
yeah, like my brain completely switches off from solving this infinite stream of programming problems, basically. Like you know it yourself, like you're writing code, something doesn't work, you have to go back to debugging
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So this helps to me.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
I love it because I have that calling. It feels like I wanna do something more mechanical. Like, and I've been, like, thinking a lot about, like, watchmaking, just, like, making
Yeah,
watches
dude, that's
or
that's really interesting.
yeah, and it's so like, it's calling me, right? Like, I wanna do that. I'm very interested in doing, like, leather work. I'm very interested in doing like, woodwork, I'm super interested in, but I don't have the space for it because
Yeah.
it's very messy. Uh,
So I will ask you the question you asked me. What have you done about it so far to try it out at least?
so far, it's just research. It's just looking at how it's made, looking at the parts, looking so it's just it's I'm still in the curiosity part, not in the actual hands doing part, which I something I admire about you, like it seems like you get to the hand part fast.
I think you might stuck in this, like guide hell
Mm,
basically, or like guide cycle hell. When you
mm,
just like watch, like research, but you do not proceed to next step.
mm,
I've been into this like when I was getting into like 3D modeling.
mm.
Uh, I kept watching tutorials, like a lot of tutorials
Yeah.
online, YouTube, and so on. But I haven't done anything myself. I
Mm,
like tried to do some simple stuff, but it just didn't work because I thought like, hey, I need to watch another tutorial how to do that. But I
mhm.
never actually, tried to experiment myself. And
You're inspiring me. Like, to be honest, hearing you talk about it and like listening to your story, like I feel inspired to take the next step. Maybe to try to make like a small watch project or something.
Dude, yeah, like why not? Like I have a
Mm,
friend who did this like leather crafting, and like yeah, his first work was actually a small leather. Like
mm,
he got like sorry, a small wallet. He got
mm,
this like a small sheet of leather. He got some
mm,
tools. Like overall cost for like all this was I don't know, like $100 or so.
mm,
I mean, it's pretty cheap even here, like in Ukraine. So it's a little
yeah.
cheap in US probably. You know, like you have AliExpress, Temu. You can buy all
Some of
the
the things,
small
yeah, yeah, yeah.
tools there and just do a fucking wallet and like send
I
it over
love
to.
it. Yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
I'll be wearing it from Zaid, like from my friend.
Yeah, yeah, no, it'll be great. Like, yeah, because both leather, like leather work and watches also go together because the strap is leather, so like you
Yeah,
can like work on the
yeah, that
strap and the buckle
that's
and all.
interesting. And like I think that this extends your like like personal horizons basically, because like the way I got into this like hardware development gave me this idea of like building my production lines eventually,
Mhm.
maybe sometimes in future, and
No,
maybe
for sure. Yeah, that's something I want to challenge you into. Just think, just drop in there. Don't do maybe. I don't know. You're gonna do it.
yeah,
Just build towards it. Something happens, but you will do it. You will get there. Like,
it's basically opportunities, and like when
yeah.
you like rebuild your first watch or like you craft your first wallet, you're gonna
Mhm.
sell it somebody on eBay, and
Yeah.
this guy will tell you and say like, "Hey man, I really like. Can you then like make me then like 100 of this?"
Uh-huh.
You're like, "Oh man, that's crazy!" But then you just basically go and hire a few guys to
Mhm.
help you with this, and like this will become your new business,
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
like,
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.